story starts in 2026 where America nuked Iran. The Monster King looms in the smoke, red eyes glowing with pure malice. The massive beastman stands tall, a demonic ruler ready for the final showdown. His companions, the Saintess, the Mage, and the Knight, are barely holding on, gasping for air in the wreckage. This is Lee Hyun-suk. Bro's been on this hero grind for 2 decades, and he's beyond done with it. The monster roars, charging a blast of purple energy in his hand. Hyun-suk doesn't even blink as the pressure mounts. He lunges forward, spear clashing against the beast's raw power in a shower of sparks. The mage casts a magic barrier, shielding the rest of the party from the shockwaves. But the Monster King isn't slowing down, his body overflowing with destructive mana. A massive beam of energy tears through the battlefield, threatening to erase everything in its path. Hyun-suk grits his teeth and charges straight into the heart of the explosion. The impact is blinding as 2 world-shaking forces collide. Dark energy erupts around the hero, but he pushes through the pain. He knows this is his only chance to finish the mission and finally go home. He prepares his ultimate ability, the Paradox Flame. The hero dashes through the inferno, faster than any mortal should be. His foot slams into the dirt, anchoring himself for the final strike. A golden pillar of light erupts from the ground as the forces clash. He locks eyes with the beast, their focus narrowing down to this single moment. The Monster King reels back as a hit finally connects, his body armor shattering. A massive claw swings through the air, desperate to keep the hero at bay. Hyun-suk parries the strike, the force behind it cratering the floor beneath him. He plants his spear firmly into the ground, centering his mana. The demon lets out a final, deafening roar of defiance. Hyun-suk reaches out, the Paradox Flame flickering at his fingertips. The dark and red fire ignites his weapon, a conceptual burn that ignores all regeneration. For the first time in centuries, the Monster King looks truly terrified. A massive explosion of cursed fire consumes the entire area. A piece of the monster's golden crown falls into the dust. It's finally over. The Demon King is nothing but a disintegrating husk before him. Hyun-suk's grip on his spear finally relaxes. He stands there, bloodied and torn, the weight of 2 decades finally lifting off his shoulders. One side of his face is a mask of blood, but he feels nothing but relief. The monster's eyes lose their glow as its life force is completely erased from existence. The hero looks up at the darkening sky, silence finally returning to the world. The demonic remains crumble into ash, vanishing into the wind. He stands victorious over the end of an era. The Saintess watches from the shadows, her holy facade slipping into shock. She looks like she's seen a ghost, sweat beading on her forehead as the plan changes. Without even turning around, Hyun-suk addresses his so-called allies. He asks the Saintess if he's wrong. Bro knows his party is full of snakes, and he's been waiting for them to move. He tells them straight up, he's known they were traitors for 5 years. They aren't as sneaky as they think. Gritting his teeth, Lee Hyun-suk looks at the people he's protected for 2 decades. The betrayal stings, but honestly, he's too tired to even be mad. The mage looks like he just got caught in 4K. He didn't expect the hero to be this self-aware. Hyun-suk's face is a map of every battle he's fought for this ungrateful world, each scar a reminder of a life he never chose. Bro's really out here getting betrayed by his own party. L behavior, honestly. He's done being their savior. This whole hero thing was just a 20-year-long nightmare he's ready to wake up from. The dying Monster King lets out a final raspy laugh, enjoying the irony of the hero's situation. It all started back in 2005. Earth. Before the armor and the scars, he was just some regular salaryman named Lee Hyun-suk, probably worrying about spreadsheets. He wasn't some legendary warrior, just a guy screaming for his life as he got yanked away from his desk into another world. His first welcome to this magic world was a dead body in the snow. Not exactly a 5-star vacation. He quickly realized this place wasn't the fairy tale he'd read about. It was a brutal, rotting wasteland. He saw the worst of humanity here, holding children that couldn't be saved because the people preferred divine will over medicine. The people here were just straight up cruel, hiding their malice behind religion and tradition. Screams were the soundtrack to his life in this hellhole, and he heard them every single day. Forget modern medicine. If you got a simple infection, these doctors just chopped your arm off and called it a day. Absolute Stone Age behavior. Hyun-suk looked at the corruption and the filth, wondering why he was even trying to save a world that didn't want to be saved. His eyes lost their light a long time ago. Saving people who would burn you at the stake for a minor disagreement does that to a guy. Religious fanatics were burning people for heresy while the gods they worshipped just watched from above. The leaders were just power-hungry psychos in fancy robes, profiting off the suffering of the weak. He eventually realized these otherworlders didn't even have a concept of human rights. They were just savages with magic. He was bloodied, broken, and completely over the whole hero gig. He just wanted to go home. Then, a light broke through the dark clouds. The goddess finally decided to make an appearance. A massive pillar of divine energy descended upon the battlefield, silencing everyone. The goddess showed her face, looking all radiant and perfect, which is kind of ironic considering the hell she let happen. She reached out a hand, offering the one thing he's wanted for 20 years, his freedom. She told him his contract was up. He'd saved the world, so now he could finally go back to Earth. Hyunsuk didn't even hesitate. He was ready to dip from this mid-fantasy world forever. He looked at her, his choice already made. He didn't care about being a legend. He just wanted a life that made sense. The goddess warned him that his original body was long gone, but honestly, even a new life would be better than this one. He dropped his weapons, the heavy symbols of a life of constant violence. They hit the dirt with a final thud. No more fighting, no more killing for ungrateful kings. He was done being a weapon. Finally escaping the grind after 20 years, his bloodied hand reached out for the light, leaving the carnage and the betrayal behind him. The world around him started to dissolve into pure, white brilliance. He felt himself lifting off the ground, the screams and the metal clashing finally fading into silence. His old, scarred body began to fade away, his soul ready to cross the void back home. Darkness and light blurred together as he made the jump between worlds. He woke up with a gasp, the feeling of soft sheets instead of cold dirt beneath him. He was back. A messy studio apartment on Earth. It was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, dirty laundry and all. He stumbled toward the bathroom mirror, wondering who he was now that the hero was gone. He stared at his reflection, but it wasn't the bearded man from the battlefield. He was in a younger body with weirdly glowing yellow eyes. Lee Hyunsuk can't believe his luck. He's back on Earth in a younger body, looking like he just stepped out of a K-pop audition instead of a war zone. He splashes his face with water, relishing the simple joy of modern plumbing. No more washing in muddy rivers for this guy. First thing he does, turns on the stove just to see the gas flame. After years of magic, technology is the real flex. The delivery guy is the absolute goat. Hyunsuk practically vibrates with hype as he opens a box of Earth's greatest gift, fried chicken. The smell alone is a spiritual experience. It's crispy, it's greasy, and it's better than any mana potion. Bro is actually drooling over a drumstick. He's been in the trenches for 20 years, so let him have this moment. One bite and he's seeing stars. The crunch is life-changing. Medieval gruel could never. He's shaking with pure emotion. Forget the Monster King. This chicken is the only thing that matters right now. He's literally crying into his meal. It's the taste of civilization and no more trauma, and it's freaking glorious. But of course, the piece is mid. A blinding flash of light outside the window ruins his vibe instantly. A massive, ominous pillar of red light erupts in the middle of the city, and it definitely isn't a fireworks show. It's a sight he knows all too well. The rifts are opening, and it looks like his quiet retirement just got an early series finale. Hot water finally hits. After 20 years in a fantasy wasteland, Lee Hyunsuk is living his best life in a modern shower. He just stands there, letting the steam wash away 2 decades of grime and trauma. Total bliss. Then comes the cool breeze of the AC. Absolute peak luxury. Bro really thought he could just shower and chill. He looks out over the city, thinking life is finally going to be easy. Too bad the universe has zero chill. A monster with a nightmare grin is literally right beside him. The thing lunges, smashing through the glass and straight into his living room. Lee Hyunsuk's face says it all. His peaceful retirement just got cancelled in record time. He scrambles back across the carpet as the creature's massive shadow looms over him. He's sweating, and not because of the heat. His stats are literally non-existent. Outside isn't any better. The whole building is crawling with these grinning freaks. Claws shred through the glass like it's paper. There's nowhere to hide. He bolts out of the apartment, barely staying a step ahead of the pack. His lungs are burning. This civilian body is definitely mid compared to his old one. The monsters are right on his heels, flooding into the hallway with those creepy white masks. They swarm the stairs, cutting off his only exit. Lee Hyunsuk ducks into a corner, trying to catch his breath without being spotted. He peeks around the wall, ready for another monster, but finds something else entirely. It's just a young boy named Yunsong, brandishing a wooden stick like he's actually going to do something. Lee Hyunsuk stands up, looking down at the little guy who's clearly trying to be a hero. The boy looks up with a face full of dirt, and way too much determination. Lee Hyunsuk is just confused. Why is a literal toddler trying to fight these things? Yunsong starts yapping about corrosion rifts that have been around since before he was born. The kid is dead serious, acting like he knows exactly how this post-apocalyptic world works. Lee Hyunsuk realizes his 20-year vacation in hell wasn't unique. Earth has been its own flavor of hell for 13 years. The reality sinks in. The home he fought so hard to get back to is long gone. He turns away, listening to the boy ramble on about the new world order. Apparently, saving the world is now a content farm. Yunsong talks about hunters like they're just YouTubers. The kid's acting like it's all a big game, completely oblivious to how bad things really are. He mentions Lee Seun, some superstar hunter who handles the big threats with a flashy spear. Lee Hyunsuk just stares. The commercialization of survival is honestly kind of pathetic to him. He senses something. The air feels different, heavy and familiar. He slams his hand over Yunsong's mouth to shut him up. The noise attracted company. They huddle against the wall, Lee Hyun-suk peering into the darkness of the hallway. A pack of those grinning monsters is prowling closer, sniffing for prey. His eyes narrow. The peaceful civilian act is officially over. Yoon-sung is trembling now, his fake bravery finally crumbling as the monsters close in. Tears start to well up. Reality is finally hitting the poor kid. Lee Hyun-suk doesn't look back. He can feel it now. The mana in the air is thick. He steps out into the open, a faint blue glow starting to swirl around him. His eye glows with a cold blue light. The paradox flame is still engraved on his soul. The lead monster lunges, its face inches away from a very bad day. A burst of blue-black fire erupts, vaporizing the creature's head in a split second. Lee Hyun-suk stands tall, shielding the kid while blue mana swirls around his body. He's completely locked in. No more hiding his power. It's time to go to work. The monster's head is literally vaporized by the black and blue fire. Pure overkill. Yoon-sung is looking at him like he's a literal god. Lee Hyun-suk just pats the kid's head like it's no big deal. They bolt through the hallway, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the walls. Someone yells for them to wait. His eyes are sharp, scanning every corner for the next threat. Another grinning freak jumps out, thinking it found an easy snack. Yoon-sung's eyes go wide. The kid is terrified, but he's still holding on to that wooden stick for dear life. Blood is everywhere. It's messy, it's brutal, and it's just another Tuesday for Lee Hyun-suk. He stands there calmly as the monster looms over him. Yoon-sung is on the ground, probably rethinking his life choices. The boy is in shock. He's never seen anyone move like this, especially not some random. Mister, a whole pack of those grinning freaks charges down the hallway. It's an ambush. Lee Hyun-suk's golden eyes glow. He's reading their every move before they even make them. He swings that wooden stick with the force of a wrecking ball, sending a shockwave through the corridor. Yoon-sung is actually cheering now. He's witnessing a masterclass in monster hunting. The hallway is a slaughterhouse. Lee Hyun-suk stands among the remains, stick in hand, looking like a total boss. He clenches his jaw. The physical toll of this weak body is starting to catch up. They finally reach the underground shelter, where a crowd of terrified civilians is huddled together. They step into the light, looking like they just crawled out of a war zone. A woman in a sharp suit spots them, her face a mix of pure horror and relief. Yoon-sung screams for his mom and sprints toward her. It's a tearful reunion. The mother, Yoon-sung's mother, unnamed, who's head to toe in designer gear, can't believe her son is alive. Bro thinks he's just going to fade into the background after saving the day. Classic Lee Hyun-suk. But the universe isn't done with him yet. A massive fist smashes through the concrete wall like it's cardboard. Dust and debris fly everywhere as a monster breaches the shelter. People start losing their minds. The thing is hideous. All teeth and a long, slimy tongue, looking for its next meal. Complete chaos. Everyone is scrambling to get away, trampling each other in their haste. While everyone else runs, Lee Hyun-suk just stands there, watching the beast with a cold, detached gaze. He closes his eyes for a second, feeling the weight of the situation. He looks down at his hand. It's covered in blood and grime, a stark reminder of where he belongs. A deep cut across his palm is throbbing. This body is a mess, but he doesn't have a choice. Yoon-sung's mother, unnamed, looks at him, sensing that this guy is definitely not just some random civilian. Another monster looms in the breach, blocking their path. Yoon-sung looks at Lee Hyun-suk, waiting for him to do something impossible again. The kid is staring at his back, probably thinking this, Mr. is a secret high-ranking hero. Lee Hyun-suk stares into the dark hallway, his mind made up. Yoon-sung shouts after him, but the veteran hunter doesn't stop. A grim smirk touches his lips. He didn't want this, but he's the only one who can handle it. He walks back into the darkness, his footsteps heavy and purposeful. The mother and son just watch him go, stunned by the absolute unit they just met. Someone grabs the kid, trying to pull him to safety. Yoon-sung protests, his eyes still fixed on the man who just saved his life. Yoon-sung stares in silence, his young mind finally connecting the dots about the man who saved him. The monster in front of Lee Hyun-suk is a nightmare made flesh, but he doesn't even flinch. Imagine having this much main character energy while wearing gym shorts. The boy watches, eyes wide, as he realizes he's witnessing something truly legendary. A small, confident smile plays on Lee Hyun-suk's lips. It's time to show this world what a real pro looks like. No cap. The city looks peaceful enough, but things aren't exactly great for everyone. Inside a quiet apartment, a cracked window shows the scars of recent monster attacks. Lee Hyun-suk is locked in, absolutely sweating on his keyboard like his life depends on it. The victory screen pops up. At least he's winning at something, even if it's just a game. He slurps down a snack, living that peak gamer lifestyle. Time for a cold one to celebrate the win. He leans back in his chair, looking like a total bum while the world outside goes to hell. He sets the beer down and reaches for his phone to check his bank balance. The loading screen takes its sweet time, but the reality is about to hit him. 3,201. Our guy is literally cooked. That's barely enough for a snack. He buries his face in his hands, realizing that saving the world in his past life didn't come with a retirement fund. The crushing weight of poverty is way scarier than any monster he's ever fought. The sun peeks through the blinds, signaling a new day and a desperate need for a job. He scrolls through his phone and finds exactly what he needs: hunter recruitment. The Hunter Association headquarters is massive, looking more like a corporate skyscraper than a hero's hub. Suits and candidates are flooding into the lobby, all hoping to strike it rich. A couple of guys are feeling themselves, already acting like they've made it big. Someone is watching them from the shadows, and they aren't looking for talkers, they're looking for talent. Lee Seun, a rank 10 world hunter, walks in with an aura that screams she's out of everyone's league. One guy tries to act tough, but he's basically invisible to her. He stops dead in his tracks, finally feeling the pressure of a real top-tier hunter. Seun checks her watch, clearly bored with the lack of quality in this year's batch. The people around her are tripping over themselves just to keep up with her pace. She pulls up a profile for Han Sanga, the academy prodigy everyone is hyping up. The unnamed assistant leans in to give her the rundown on the star student's abilities. They take their seats in the VIP section, ready to see if the rumors are actually true. One of the scouts adjusts his glasses, trying to look professional for the cameras. The assistant is all smiles, but Seun just wants to see something that doesn't put her to sleep. A screen displays some old footage of a monster attack, reminding everyone why these selections matter. The arena is packed with people treating this life or death selection like a Sunday afternoon football game. Seun smirks, finally finding the whole circus a little bit interesting. The announcer kicks things off, getting the crowd all hyped up for the first match. Hyunsuk steps into the light, looking like he just crawled out of a basement. He's literally wearing a cheap tracksuit. The disrespect is unreal. He stands across from a guy who's actually geared up and looks ready for a real fight. Hyunsuk has that "I'm just here so I don't get fined" look on his face. This blonde guy thinks he's the main character, smirking like he's already won. The signal goes off, and the first round of the tournament officially begins. The spear user lunges forward with a strike that looks way too flashy to be effective. He ignites his weapon, trying to end the match with some mid-tier fire magic. Hyunsuk doesn't even break a sweat, dodging the flame like it's a slow-motion tutorial. The fire explodes everywhere, but our guy is already miles away from the impact zone. Hyunsuk is locked in, watching his opponent's every move with a cold, veteran gaze. The blonde guy tries to end it with a flashy fire strike, but he's basically swinging at air. He's getting frustrated now, realizing his expensive academy training isn't doing squat. Hyunsuk closes the gap in an instant, showing that you don't need mana when you have actual hands. A solid punch to the gut, straight up business, no fancy effects needed. He follows up with a kick that sends the prodigy stumbling back, and for the finale, a heavy right hook straight to the jaw. This guy is officially cooked. The blonde guy's face is a complete mess. Talk about a reality check. Hyunsuk just stands there, looking like he's waiting for a bus instead of winning a fight. He's got a slight smirk on his face, probably thinking about how easy this is compared to fighting literal demons. Up in the VIP seats, Lee Seun is finally paying attention. She knows something is up with this guy. Her assistant is trying to keep his cool, but even he can see that Hyunsuk is built different. He offers her a piece of candy, probably hoping to calm her nerves before she does something crazy. She takes it, eyes still glued to the screen as she analyzes Hyunsuk's every movement. Seung pops the candy, clearly seeing through the civilian act he's trying to pull. Hyunsuk scratches his neck, looking around the arena like he's bored out of his mind. He steps over his defeated opponent, not even giving the guy a second glance. The blonde guy is still on the ground, questioning all his life choices. He's out cold, teeth probably somewhere in the middle of the arena. Great start. Medical staff are probably on their way, but it's going to take more than a bandage to fix that ego. The scouts are whispering, wondering how a guy with zero mana just folded an academy student like a lawn chair. Seun's eyes narrow. She's found a diamond in the rough, and she's not letting it go. The crowd is still in shock, trying to process what just happened. The vibes are definitely shifted. She cracks a smile, finally finding someone worth her time in this circus. She looks down at the arena, probably planning her next move already. The tournament continues, and Hyunsuk is just speedrunning through the competition. Another one bites the dust. He's treating these guys like training dummies, taking them out with effortless precision. Sword, spear, doesn't matter. If they get close, they're going for a nap. He's keeping that same cold energy, not letting any of these rookies catch him off guard. The officials are scrambling to figure out who this tracksuit-wearing monster actually is. And now, the main event. Han Sanga, the academy's top student, steps onto the stage. Hyunsuk looks at her, finally seeing someone who might at least make him try. Sanga looks focused, but she has no idea she's about to fight a guy who survived the literal apocalypse. They face off, and the tension in the arena is high enough to snap. This is the real test. She reaches for her sword, her grip steady as she prepares her most powerful technique. Her eyes glow teal with mana. She's going all out from the start. Main character energy. But for how long? To her, it's a duel. but behind Hyunsuk, there's an aura of pure, savage experience she can't even imagine. She takes a deep breath, focusing every drop of her mana into her blade. Lightning starts crackling around her as she readies her signature, railgun strike. The draw begins, and the air around her literally hums with electricity. It looks cool, but flashy isn't always better. Hyunsuk is just watching her eyes, waiting for the exact moment she commits. She strikes with a flash of light. It's near instantaneous for anyone else, but to him, it's just another textbook move. Sanga's eyes are wide with shock. She really thought that lightning strike was going to be the end of it. But Hyunsuk just glides through her attack like he's playing on easy mode. The gap in experience is honestly embarrassing. She's panicking now. Her unbeatable technique just hit nothing but air. This is what happens when you only train in a gym. Hyunsuk is moving so fast his image is practically blurred. He's closing in for the kill, metaphorically of course. Maybe. He drops low, staying right in her blind spot. The man is a predator, plain and simple. No mana needed. Sanga tries to reset, but she's already lost the initiative. You can see the moment she realizes she messed up. Hyunsuk's movements are calculated, efficient, and honestly, a little scary. He's not just fighting, he's dissecting her. He flashes a confident grin. He's been through hell for 20 years. A little lightning is basically a spa day for him. Sanga grits her teeth, pouring every last ounce of her mana into one final, desperate defense. She lets out another burst of electricity, but Hyunsuk is already 3 steps ahead of the blast. He charges straight through the static, showing zero fear. This bum is actually cooking in a tracksuit. Sanga's eyes glow with a final, blinding light as she tries to blow him back with pure mana pressure. The resulting explosion is huge, covering the entire arena in a cloud of dust and sparks. Standard anime drama, but Hyunsuk doesn't care about the theatrics. He dives through the smoke, perfectly timing his counter. He slips past her guard in a heartbeat. The fight was over the moment she blinked. That's the face of a man who knows exactly where the pressure points are. It's game over for the prodigy. He lands a brutal strike right to her center, knocking the wind, and the mana, completely out of her. Sanga's expression is pure agony as she realizes she's just been folded by a nobody. Tough scenes. Hyunsuk finishes it with a solid, no-nonsense fist. No magic, just straight-up veteran hands. The impact is devastating. He really didn't have to go that hard, but hey, a win is a win. A massive shockwave ripples through the arena, silencing the crowd as Sanga is sent hurtling across the floor. She hits the ground hard, her mana completely depleted. The Academy's star pupil is officially down for the count. She's out cold, white eyes and everything. That's a wrap on the finals, folks. Better luck next year. She tumbles across the tiles like a ragdoll. It's a quiet end to a very loud match. The scouts in the stands are absolutely losing it. Their faces are a mix of confusion and, who the heck is this guy? Hyunsuk just walks away, casually stretching his shoulder like he just finished a light morning jog. The disrespect is real. He doesn't even look back at her. He's already thinking about what's for dinner. Cold as ice. He looks at his hand, probably surprised he didn't accidentally kill her. Old habits die hard. A medical official rushes out to check on Sanga, while everyone else is still staring at Hyunsuk in disbelief. He gives the camera a cheeky little smirk. He knows he just broke the entire scouting system's brain. The wide shot of the arena shows just how lopsided that battle really was. Total domination from the veteran. The unnamed assistant is frantically whispering into his earpiece, trying to report the impossible results to the higher-ups. He's practically shouting now, his professional cool completely evaporated. This wasn't in the script. Hyunsuk looks up at the VIP booth, sensing a gaze much more powerful than any of these rookies. Suddenly, a figure descends from the stands. A woman in a black suit with a presence that demands respect. Even the assistant looks terrified. When the boss lady steps out, you know things are about to get serious. The entire stadium goes silent. Everyone knows who she is, and they can't believe she's actually getting involved. Hyunsuk narrows his eyes. He recognizes a real predator when he sees one. The vacation might be over. Lee Se-eun pulls out a massive, red-bladed greatsword. She's not here for a friendly chat, that's for sure. She addresses him by his alias, her voice cutting through the silence of the arena. She's seen through his act. She stands there with that giant sword, looking like she's about to start a secret boss fight. Talk about an entrance. Se-eun gives him a predatory look, her gray eyes locked onto his. She's finally found a toy she can play with. Hyunsuk is actually sweating a little. I guess even he realizes that picking a fight with a rank 10 hunter might have been a bit much for his first day back. The standoff is insane. You've got this. No mana. Weirdo in a tracksuit facing off against the elite scout of the century. The vibes are immaculate, and of course, the man starts smiling. He's really out here thinking he's him. Talk about main character energy. Meanwhile, the unnamed assistant is having a literal stroke into his headset. He's probably wondering how he's going to explain this unauthorized boss fight to HR. Seun looks like she's having the time of her life. She's finally found someone who isn't a total fraud, and she's ready to test him for real. While they're having their dramatic moment, the losers from the earlier rounds are being carried out on stretchers. Absolute skill issue. Hyunsuk casually picks up a spear from the ground. He's really going to try and parry a giant magic sword with a toothpick? Delusional. But hey, look at that face. He's locked in. If he actually pulls this off, I'll take back everything I said about his mid-tracksuit. Next chapter is going to be a movie. The crowd in the stands is absolutely losing it, watching this duel go way longer than it should. Even the pro hunters in the observation room are starting to sweat through their suits. Lee Seun isn't holding back anymore, swinging that massive blade with intent to end this. Lee Hyunsuk is just barely hanging on, grin plastered on his face while he eats dirt. He's breathing heavy, but the look in his eyes says he's just getting started. Seun comes at him from above, looming over him like a literal final boss. She keeps the pressure high, forcing him to scramble across the entire arena floor. The hunter is looking at him like he's some kind of annoying bug that just won't stay squashed. Our guy is literally drooling and gasping for air. Honestly, it's a bit of a skill issue. Meanwhile, Seun walks toward him looking like she hasn't even broken a sweat yet. She steps forward, closing the distance between them in a heartbeat. Another heavy swing comes down, aimed right for his head this time. Hyunsuk grips his training spear tight, desperately searching for any kind of opening. He takes a sharp breath, closing his eyes to focus on the power swirling inside him. The hunter takes flight, bringing her blade down with enough force to shatter the stage. Hyunsuk's eye suddenly glows with a strange, piercing light. Seun realizes the vibe of the fight just shifted completely. The impact sends chunks of stone flying every which way. Hyunsuk manages to slip away into the rising dust, avoiding the direct hit. The hunter smirks, finally finding this little workout interesting. That's when the paradox flame kicks in, turning his exhaustion into pure mana. Look at those edgy black flames. He's literally burning his own fatigue as fuel for his body. He cracks a grin because he knows he just found his second wind. His shirt is basically rags at this point from the heat of the flames. Hyunsuk stands tall, looking way more refreshed than a guy who just got beat down should. He launches himself forward, moving way faster than he was a second ago. Seun's expression turns serious. The tutorial phase is officially over. Their weapons collide, sparks lighting up the whole arena in a violent flash. She can't believe this random civilian is still keeping up with her pace. They trade blows back and forth, turning into a blur of motion and clashing steel. She's scanning him, trying to figure out where this sudden burst of energy is coming from. Hyunsuk stares her down from the crater, still ready for more rounds. Basically, he's burning the concept of being tired. It's a total cheat code. He digs his heel into the stone, bracing himself for her next strike. The hunter comes at him with everything she's got, looking like a shadow of death. Another massive explosion rocks the floor as she slams her blade down. She waits for the dust to settle, fully expecting him to be unconscious this time. But his feet are still planted firmly on the ground through the smoke. He's a total mess and his body is screaming, but he's still grinning like a madman. This guy really doesn't know when to quit, and it's starting to get under her skin. Seun looks visibly annoyed that she can't just put him away. But even paradox flames leave a residue. You can't burn what's already been turned to ashes. He's officially got the bracelet. Lee Hyunsuk is finally a registered hunter in this new era. He just collapses on the floor, laughing his head off like a lunatic. Talk about having main character energy. Lee Seun walks over and pulls out a lollipop. Guess she thinks he needs a sugar rush after that beatdown. The suits in the observation room are absolutely losing it. They've never seen a rookie survive against a pro for that long. She's actually smiling at him. Looks like our boy might have just gained his first high-ranking fan. She hands over her business card, telling him to call if he ever wants to make some real money. She calls out to the arena, making sure everyone knows who the star of the show really is. The announcer's voice booms over the speakers. Winner, Lee Hyunsuk. Talk about a massive upset for the history books. He's already biting into the candy. This guy has zero chill, even after a 4-hour duel. He pulls out his phone, probably checking to see if his new hunter license has been approved yet. Priority right? Just when he thought he could catch a break, a literal wall of meat appears right in front of him. Meet Yoon Sung-hyun. Big, tattooed, and definitely looks like the type to ask for your lunch money. He pulls out his own card. Looks like everyone wants a piece of the new rookie on the block. Yoon Sung-hyun, a partner hunter at Taebeek LLC. He's basically a corporate big shot. He's got that "I'm the alpha" grin that you just want to punch. Major overcompensating vibes. Seun watches the interaction from the side, looking completely unimpressed by the guy's attempt to flex. Hyunsuk just stuffs his hands in his pockets. He's already bored of this conversation. The big guy just laughs. He actually seems to love the kid's disrespectful attitude. He throws a massive arm over the boy's shoulder. Boundaries? This man has never heard of them. He leans in close to try and intimidate him. It's giving major bully from a K-drama. Energy. He's doing way too much. Someone tell this man he needs to back off and take a seat. Hyunsuk just gives him a deadpan look. Certified bruh moment. He is not impressed at all. Later on, Seun is already waiting at a cafe, probably making power moves on her phone. Our guy is still staring at his own screen as he walks. Bro is officially addicted to the scroll. They meet up at a place called the Hut. It looks way too cozy for two lethal hunters. The waitress greets them with a smile. It must be nice working somewhere that isn't a literal death trap. Seun waves him over. She's looking way too comfortable in this setting. He walks to the booth, wondering what kind of crazy deal she's about to pitch to him. He sits down, still looking like he just rolled out of bed. Absolute hobo vibes in a 5-star cafe. She starts explaining how the industry works. Turns out, there are some scary people at the top of these guilds. Hyunsuk's already digging into the sweets. He's clearly just here for the free meal. She takes a bite of her own dessert, trying to keep the conversation as casual as possible. He listens while resting his head on his hand. This guy is the absolute king of low effort. They're really going to town on those parfaits. Hunger is the real monster they're fighting right now. She breaks down the corporate ladder. It's basically a law firm hierarchy, but with more swords and magic. You've got partners at the top, then seniors, and finally the juniors at the bottom. Classic corporate L. Most guilds are divided into specialized teams. It's all about maximizing those profit margins. Money flows from the investors down to the guild, and the big guys take the lion's share before anyone else sees a cent. There are always guys like those outside waiting to do the dirty work for the right price. She gets serious for a moment. The hunter world isn't all lollipops and easy paydays. Hyunsuk actually smiles. He knows exactly how the world works, maybe even better than she does. She offers him another candy as a token of goodwill. Take it. You're gonna need it where you're going. Lee Hyunsuk is basically glaring at the contract. Bro, it's not that deep, just sign it. Lee Seun is just sitting there like a final boss, enjoying the show and his confusion. He's already stuffing his face with more candy. Priority number 1, bulking. Respect the hustle. She reaches into her bag for a thick folder. Here comes the actual homework. She slides a brown envelope across the table. Very dramatic, very secret agent of her. He opens it up to see what kind of mess she's trying to drag him into this time. It's a detailed map of some remote island. Looks like he's going on a little field trip. He's looking at it like he's never seen a map before. 0 brain cells found in that skull right now. She reaches for the documents. Done reading? Good, because the clock is ticking. She gives him that smug grin. She definitely knows something he doesn't, and she loves it. Lee Hyunsuk just stares at her with his usual "I'm over this" face. The level of done is astronomical. A satisfied smile spreads across her face as she seals the deal. Everything is going according to plan. A black limo pulls up to pick her up. Corporate hunters really do have the best perks. W in the chat for the luxury. Seun is chilling in the back like a queen while her guards do the driving. Total boss vibes. She's probably already planning her next 3 moves. No rest for the rich and powerful. She leaves her phone on the seat. Guess she's going offline for a bit to handle business. She stares out the window at the city skyline. It's a long way to the top of the food chain. Cut to a remote island. This place looks like the start of a battle royale, and I'm here for it. Boats are arriving and a crowd is gathering on the shore. The hunt is officially on. The vibes are already rancid. Everyone here looks like they're ready to scrap for some clout. These guys definitely didn't come here for a vacation. They look like they eat rocks for breakfast. A close-up of a sword handle. Things are about to get real sharp, real fast. Han Sanga and Kim Min-jae are on the scene. They look like they're already in way over their heads. Seun is watching the new recruits from a distance. She's got her eye on the real potential. And then there's Lee Hyunsuk. He's walking in with that spear and enough aura to drown the whole island. Look at him trying to be all mysterious and cold. Bro really thinks he's him. Spoiler. He actually is. Lee Hyunsuk is hauling a massive case down the hallway. 1506, 1506. He reaches for the bell, his arm already feeling the burn. Man, this thing is heavy as hell. What's even in here? A muffled voice from inside asks who it is. The door swings open with a creak. Back in his room, Lee Hyunsuk sits in front of the delivery. It's unbelievably long. He unlatches the case with a satisfying click. His gaze sharpens as he looks at his new gear. He pulls out a sleek, modern spear. Finally, some proper equipment. He picks up a small bottle filled with glowing green liquid, an elixir. Most hunters store mana inside their bodies like a tank, but Lee Hyunsuk's method is different. He draws it directly from the air around him. Present day. An unnamed official, a sharp-looking man in a suit and glasses, is laying out the mission details. Kim Min-jae, a nervous-looking rookie with ginger hair, is taking it all in alongside a grizzled veteran in a beanie. The team heads out on a boat toward Jaedongdo Island. Lee Hyunsuk is fully geared up now, spear in hand and looking like a total sweat. He's joined by Han Sanga, the silver-haired teen he met during the selection trials. They arrive on the island, the mission area stretching out before them. Lee Hyun-suk scans the group of hunters as they gather. An unnamed senior hunter, glasses, with a smug look, is already acting like he's the boss, giving orders to Kim Min-jae. Lee Hyun-suk pulls out his phone and points out a strategy on the map. The senior hunters just start laughing. A rookie giving us tips? That's hilarious. He suggests using the high ground at the temple as their base. The guy with the glasses gets triggered instantly. Know your place, kid! Don't tell us how to do our jobs. Lee Hyun-suk and Han Sang-ah just watch as the pros ego trip their way in the opposite direction. The group of three heads into the dense, foggy forest. It's quiet. Too quiet for a place crawling with monsters. They start picking up the pace, moving deeper into the woods. Lee Hyun-suk is in the zone, eyes fixed on the path ahead. Meanwhile, Kim Min-jae looks like he's about to have a panic attack. Lee Hyun-suk gives him a look that's basically telling him to stop being a scrub. No cap. Suddenly, he senses something and narrows his eyes. Bro is doing the most right now. He slides to a dead stop, his boot kicking up a cloud of dust. Kim Min-jae almost crashes into him, his face frozen in a look of pure terror. Lee Hyun-suk signals for silence. Don't make a sound. Kim Min-jae peeks around the rocks, his heart probably doing 200 BPM. Down in the clearing, a massive pack of goblin-like monsters is gathered. Kim Min-jae is already trying to back out. There's too many. We gotta bounce. Lee Hyun-suk shakes his head. If we let them scatter, they'll pick off the other hunters one by one. His eyes are cold. Bro is really trying to be the main character with that edgy stare. He starts drawing a tactical formation in the dirt. Here's the plan. Focus up. Kim Min-jae is absolutely floored by how detailed the plan is. This rookie is built different. He looks over at Han Sang-ah, wondering if they're even in the same league as this guy. Lee Hyun-suk and Han Sang-ah stand their ground as Kim Min-jae watches them from the side. Lee Hyun-suk's eyes narrow as he assures them they'll make it in time. Looking at the map, their squad is isolated from the arrogant veterans who decided to play hero elsewhere. The forest is absolutely crawling with goblins, their glowing eyes fixed on the group. Kim Min-jae looks like he's about to have a full-blown panic attack, sweating buckets. Meanwhile, the experts who split off are already getting absolutely ratioed by the monsters. Lee Hyun-suk stays locked in, completely unfazed by the growing mob of trash mobs. He starts sketching out a tactical formation in the dirt with the tip of his spear. Seeing the plan, Kim Min-jae's face shifts from pure panic to a focused, deadly intensity. The goblins actually pause for a second, probably wondering why these humans haven't run away yet. Kim Min-jae charges forward, his hands igniting with fire mana as he slides into his starting position. A massive burst of fire erupts from his palms, lighting up the entire clearing. The goblins screech as the flames tear through their front line, turning them into crispy snacks. Lee Hyun-suk moves like a blur, spear at the ready while Kim Min-jae provides the fire support. Look at that sweat go. Kim Min-jae's eyes burn with mana as he pours everything into his fireball. No cap. Lee Hyun-suk's gaze is ice cold and calculating, tracking every single threat in the area. He leaps right into the center of the pack, his spear becoming a whirlwind of steel. One monster lunges forward with its mouth wide open, but it's already over for him. With a single, fluid strike, Lee Hyun-suk cleaves through the beast before it can even register what happened. He ducks under a claw and pivots, his movements perfectly synced with the chaos of the fight. He adjusts his gear, getting ready to ramp up the aggression even more. Han Sang-ah watches from the sideline, stunned by how efficiently the two are dismantling the pack. She drops into a combat stance, realizing she can't just stand there and let them have all the fun. A final, massive explosion of fire sweeps across the battlefield, incinerating the stragglers. As the smoke begins to clear, Lee Hyun-suk looks back to check on his teammates. Kim Min-jae stands there, shaking, as the last of his mana flickers out. The area is completely scorched, a testament to the raw power they just unleashed. Lee Hyun-suk plants his spear firmly in the ground, finally catching his breath. He peeks through the gap in the smoke, making sure there are no more goblins left to slay. The clearing falls silent, with only the sound of heavy breathing and crackling embers left behind. His weapon stands tall in the dirt, marking their hard-won victory over the horde. Lee Hyun-suk stands with his back to them, looking like he's posing for a dramatic thumbnail. He looks over his shoulder with a calm expression, ready to move on to the next objective. But behind him, Kim Min-jae is pointing a black handgun straight at his head. Betrayal in 4K. Kim Min-jae starts explaining the business side of hunting with a massive grin. He shows off a scanner used to track monster kills. He sticks a microchip onto a monster carcass to mark it for the collection team. Min-jae explains that junk dealers follow hunters to harvest heavy monster parts. It's a whole operation, with trucks coming in to haul away the leftovers. The profit gets split right down the middle between the hunters and the collectors. Money glitch, no cap. The group continues their trek through the dense forest. Something shifts in the air as they walk past the dark trees. A massive bat mid-boss crashes down from above. The shockwave from the landing sends everyone tumbling back. Min-jae freezes in terror as the beast looms over them. The monster bares its jagged, blood-stained teeth. Lee Hyun-suk stares back, completely unfazed by the threat. The bat monster stands tall, its wings unfurling as it prepares to lunge. Hyun-suk assesses the beast, realizing this isn't some low-tier rift. The monster's head twitches as it locks onto its prey. Hyun-suk suddenly shouts at his teammates to get back. Min-jae and Han Sang-ah are stunned by his sudden, aggressive tone. He screams at them to move it unless they want to end up in body bags. The rookies look at him like he's lost his mind. Bro thinks he's the coach now. Hyun-suk grips his spear, ready to solo this thing. His gaze turns ice cold as he focuses on the enemy. The bat monster lunges forward with a swipe of its claws. Sanga watches from the sidelines, sensing something different about him. She realizes this rookie is moving with insane precision. Hyun-suk leaps into the air, dodging the beast's attack with ease. Sanga can't take her eyes off his movements. He's got that main character energy. He swings his spear down, clashing against the monster's hide. The tip of his spear glows with a strange, dark energy. The monster's eye widens as it realizes it's outclassed. It's cooked. Hyun-suk gives a confident smirk. He's just toying with it at this point. Sanga is speechless. This guy is literally him. He brings the spear down, pinning the monster's arm to the ground. Hyun-suk slides back, putting distance between them for a final strike. He winds up and launches the spear with terrifying power. Sanga's eyes go wide at the sheer speed of the throw. The spear streaks through the air like a bolt of lightning. Hyun-suk watches his target with absolute focus. The bat monster lets out a final, desperate roar. The spear hits home, right through the monster's skull. Black smoke rises as the beast's power is completely neutralized. The mid-boss is pinned to the earth, defeated in a single move. Absolute W. Lee Hyun-suk looks down at the monster he just deleted, completely unfazed. Close-up of his eyes. He's already thinking about the next problem. Kim Min-jae and Han Sang-ah look over at the carnage, completely stunned by his power. Min-jae is sweating bullets, finally realizing the massive gap in their skills. Hyun-suk keeps his spear ready, not letting his guard down for a single second. Min-jae walks up to the corpse. Even dead, the thing is absolutely terrifying. Hyun-suk starts dropping some lore about monster grades. This isn't a normal rift. The group looks tiny compared to the wreckage scattered in the dark woods. Hyun-suk's face says it all. This situation is about to get way worse. Min-jae starts pleading with him, desperate to go save the other hunters on the island. The dark mountains loom over the island. It's a total death trap out there. Min-jae reaches out, begging for some kind of heroic response from him. Hyun-suk just gives him a cold stare. He's not here to play superhero for people who are already dead. Sanga and Min-jae can't believe how blunt he's being about the lives at stake. He turns his back on them. He's seen enough tragedy to know when a cause is lost. Sanga is trying to process his brutal logic, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Hyun-suk's eyes narrow as a painful memory suddenly hits him. A flashback shows a veteran comrade caught in a hopeless, fiery battle. The guy didn't make it. Hyun-suk learned the hard way that you can't save everyone. Back in the present, he's got that look of a man who's already buried too many friends. He leads them to an old traditional house to lay low and hide for the night. One of them steps inside, finally getting some cover from the elements. The Hanok courtyard is quiet and dark. A perfect place for a temporary safe house. Hyun-suk starts laying down the rules. No lights and absolutely no noise. He checks the perimeter. In a grade 3 rift, these walls are barely any protection. He's dead serious. One mistake and they're all cooked. He thinks back to the monster he just killed. It was just a taste of what's out there. He gestures with his hand, explaining how they're going to survive the night. He draws a rough map on the floor, pointing out the major danger zones nearby. He goes quiet for a second, silently calculating his next solo move. Outside, the night sky is clear, but the silence feels incredibly heavy. Sanga leans against a pillar, completely exhausted from the constant stress. Min-jae closes his eyes, trying his best to block out the reality of the situation. Hyun-suk sets up a monster alarm device near the entrance. Once they're settled, he decides to sneak out alone. Classic MC behavior. He moves through the trees like a ghost, hunting for the rift core on his own. His eyes glow as he senses a massive spike in mana nearby. Something massive is waiting in the shadows, showing off its massive fangs. Hyun-suk stops dead in his tracks. This thing is on a whole different level. Purple energy starts crackling in the air as the real threat reveals itself. He catches a terrifying reflection of the beast in his eyes. It's huge. The Alpha Rift Core looms over him. Bro is about to have a very bad night. The Jaedongdo Hunter Association's situation room is a frantic mess of keyboard clicks. An unnamed official yells for silence as the reports get more dire by the second. The data doesn't lie. The unclassified rift has just mutated into a lethal alpha. The manager stares at the screen, sweat dripping as he realizes they're in deep trouble. An unnamed official reports that multiple hunter signals have just vanished from the map. Lee Hyun-suk isn't waiting for backup and drops right into the heart of the anomaly. The staff watches his solo dive in total disbelief, thinking he's on a suicide mission. A massive purple beast lunges from the shadows, its jaws wide open. Hyun-suk doesn't even flinch, keeping his eyes locked on his target. Back at the office, the staff are so sick of his attitude they consider muting his mic. He senses something even more dangerous watching him from the darkness. The monster's massive claw slams into the ground right where he was standing. He sidesteps the attack with effortless grace, readying his spear. His eyes are cold and focused, tracking every twitch the monster makes. He kicks off a wall, launching himself high above the beast's reach. He spots the rift's pulsating core and prepares to end this quickly. The dark portal at the center of the rift begins to spin violently. He strikes midair, bolts of electricity crackling as his weapon connects. He drives the spear down, pinning the monster's head to the floor. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he starts to actually enjoy himself. In the control room, an official reports that they've lost his GPS signal entirely. The manager stares at the dead terminal, convinced that Hyunsuk is a goner. Hyunsuk stands alone in the desolate landscape, the air thick with killing intent. He looks up as a massive shadow begins to block out the sky. Colossal talons dig into the earth, signaling the arrival of the real boss. The Alpha Core towers over him, a massive masked beast from another world. It lets out a bone-chilling roar that shakes the very fabric of the rift. Hyunsuk just tightens his grip on his spear, looking completely bored. Black flames begin to lick the edges of his weapon, hungry for destruction. He ignites the Paradox Flame, a terrifying power that erases anything it touches. Mana pulses through his hands as he readies his most devastating technique. He blurs into motion, striking with a speed that defies human limits. A massive explosion of purple energy rocks the center of the battlefield. The Alpha Core is blasted backward, its armored hide scorched by the black flames. Hyunsuk doesn't let up, his eyes glowing with the thrill of the hunt. He begins to absorb the dense environmental mana directly into his body. The energy surges through his heart, physically widening his mana pathways. His muscles ripple as the raw power permanently strengthens his young body. He exhales a cloud of mana, feeling the strength of a true veteran returning. He grins at the boss. It's time to show this thing what a real hunter looks like. The Alpha Core is consumed by the indiscriminate heat of the Paradox Flame. A final shockwave ripples out as the rift's core finally shatters into pieces. Lee Hyunsuk's eyes glow with a cold intensity. He's definitely in the zone. He stands tall in the middle of the dark dimension, completely unfazed. A swarm of giant bats drops in to say hi, surrounding him from all sides. He isn't worried at all. Trying to win with numbers is just mid-energy at this point. He slams his spear into the ground, creating a massive crater and a vortex of dark mana. He takes a second to adjust his grip, looking like he's just getting started. He senses something way more dangerous than these low-level mobs nearby. A massive shadow lunges from the darkness, weapon raised high for a killing blow. Hyunsuk's eyes widen as he barely registers the sudden ambush. A massive blade slams into the rocky ground, missing him by a hair. This is the Alpha Rift Core, a lethal predator wearing a purple mask and a white fur cape. The masked monster actually speaks, telling him that his life is about to end. Hyunsuk just readies his spear, looking like he's heard it all before. He lunges forward, a blur of motion as he closes the gap in an instant. Their weapons clash, sending out a shockwave that echoes through the rift. Sparks fly as they exchange a brutal series of strikes and parries. The masked monster is surprisingly fast, matching his veteran instincts blow for blow. Blue energy crackles between them as they fight for the upper hand. A massive burst of mana explodes from the point of impact, shaking the ground. The boss thinks it has him cornered, but it's actually falling right into his trap. He's setting up the dual orbit spear, a high-level skill that delays the second hit of his attack. The monster dodges his first thrust, thinking it's escaped the danger, but the mana trajectory he left behind starts to glow with a deadly light. The delayed strike circles back with a vengeance, catching the monster from behind. It's a perfect pincer strike that's basically a death sentence for the boss. The masked monster's eyes widen as it realizes it's been completely outplayed. A series of concentrated explosions rip through its body as the skill connects. Hyunsuk watches with a cold stare, already knowing the outcome. He delivers one final thrust, pouring every bit of his mana into the attack. The Alpha Core's mask shatters as the blue flames finish it off for good. As the monster dissolves into nothingness, a mysterious glowing box drops to the ground. He picks up the loot. Hopefully, it's something better than common trash. He takes a deep breath, the intense heat of the battle finally fading away. Back in the situation room, the staff is losing their minds because all the hunter signals went dead. The manager stares out the window, convinced they're looking at a total catastrophe. He's on the verge of a breakdown when something weird happens on the screens. A high-priority broadcast signal overrides their entire system. The unnamed official stares in shock as a new message appears in front of him. The screen spells it out clearly. The Alpha Rift on the island has been officially cleared. This broadcast is going out to every terminal, confirming the crisis is over. The manager is speechless, realizing they just witnessed a literal miracle. Back in the rift, Hyunsuk just lets out a sigh, looking like he's ready for a nap. Lee Hyunsuk takes a seat under the starry sky, finally catching his breath after one hell of a shift. Even a hero needs a minute to just vibe. Han Sanga and Kim Min-jae are struggling to hold back the swarm of monsters. Every swing of the sword is a battle for survival. Han Sanga pushes through the exhaustion, her blade crackling with mana as she tries to keep the creatures at bay. A sharp spark flies as metal meets monster hide, but there's just too many of them. She's breathing hard, blood trickling down her forehead as her vision starts to blur. Kim Min-jae calls out her name, but his voice is drowned out by the screeching of the approaching horde. The swarm is endless, dozens of glowing eyes staring back at them from the darkness. Both hunters are at their physical limits, gasping for air as the pressure of the rift weighs them down. A deep gash on Han Sanga's leg makes even standing a struggle. Her movement is slowing down. One of the bat-like creatures lunges forward, teeth bared for a killing blow. She drops into a low stance, preparing for one final desperate strike. Her eyes focus on the target, but her body is screaming at her to give up. The monsters drop from the sky all at once, surrounding her from every angle. Kim Min-jae reaches out, trying to pull her away from the impending massacre. The lead monster opens its maw wide, ready to tear into them. He stares in horror as the creature closes in, certain that this is the end. A sudden, massive explosion of black ash ripples through the air with a deafening boom. Han Sanga squeezes her eyes shut, waiting for the impact that never comes. She slowly opens them, her gaze drifting toward the source of the shockwave. The monsters have been reduced to nothing but floating embers. Kim Min-jae can only stare in total shock. Back at the assembly point, the camp is bustling with survivors and medical staff. Yu Chanseok walks through the camp with a casual stroll, looking way too calm for someone who just cleared a rift. Honestly, look at this guy's main character energy. It's almost annoying. The officials can only gawk at him as he passes, unable to reconcile his relaxed attitude with the destruction he just caused. He stands there looking like a cinematic masterpiece, holding his spear while the rest of the world is in a panic. Talk about a tryhard. Kim Min-jae waves him over, looking relieved to see that their savior is actually a human and not some god. He checks a message on his terminal, confirming that Chanseok was indeed the one who handled the rift an hour ago. Chanseok sits with them, putting on his best noble hero act. Han Sanga isn't buying it though. She's giving him the ultimate side eye. She knows he's just capping for the clout. He gets up to leave, maintaining that perfectly composed "I'm just doing my heart's duty" persona. It's pure cringe, but the civilians love it. Lee Pilji, a government liaison, approaches him with a professional bow. The big shots have noticed him. Chanseok gives him a sharp look. He knows this isn't just a friendly visit. Rain starts to pour as they head toward the city's administrative building. The mood is shifting fast. Water splashes underfoot as they make their way inside. No more humble hero games. It's time for politics. Chanseok walks through the rain under an umbrella, looking completely unbothered by the sudden change in weather. Lee Pilji follows closely behind, playing the role of the perfect guide. His eyes are fixed on the back of Chanseok's head. The liaison wears a thin, practiced smile. He's clearly hiding something behind that polite mask. They walk down the sterile, brightly lit hallway of the mayor's office. The silence is heavy. Chanseok listens as Pilji explains the importance of this meeting, but he looks bored out of his mind. These NPCs talk way too much. Pilji gestures toward the large double doors at the end of the hall, emphasizing the power of the man inside. They stop in front of the office, the tension finally starting to peak. Chanseok doesn't look impressed. A nameplate on the desk reads, Ian Sichio and Mayor Park. This is the guy who thinks he can control a 20-year veteran. Good luck with that. Mayor Park Jian greets them with a fake, wide grin that reeks of desperation. This man is the definition of a boomer trying to stay relevant. He invites Chanseok to sit, eager to start his pitch. He really thinks a few compliments and a commercial deal will work. What a clown. The mayor offers him instant coffee, of all things. He actually wants Chanseok to be the face of a coffee brand. Imagine being a legendary hero and getting offered a sponsorship from a 3-in-1 mix. L move. Mayor Park Jian is really trying to sell the dream, gesturing wildly as he talks about the grand future of Incheon. He's yapping like it's his last day on Earth. Lee Hyun-suk just takes another sip of his coffee. He's looking like he's already thinking about what's for dinner instead of listening to this boomer's pitch. The mayor suddenly slams his hands down, leaning in with a look of pure excitement. He's really out here acting like he just discovered fire. Hyun-suk just stares back, completely unfazed. He's got that "I've seen things you wouldn't believe" look in his eyes that would make anyone else uncomfortable. The mayor points to a display showing the skyline of Songdo, bragging about the city's infrastructure like he built it with his own 2 hands. He talks up Chongya as an international hub, trying to make Incheon sound like the center of the universe. It's some top-tier glazing. Park Jian clenches his fist, practically glowing with ambition as he describes the potential of their partnership. He's really trying to secure that bag. Hyun-suk rests his chin on his hand, looking like he's watching a very boring YouTube ad. The lack of interest is actually legendary. His eye narrows, seeing right through the mayor's desperate political maneuvering. This isn't about heroes, it's about approval ratings. Later, Lee Pilji drives him through the rain. Hyun-suk is in the back, scrolling through his phone and completely ignoring the world outside. He looks out at the gray cityscape, his expression unreadable as the raindrops streak across the glass. Just another day in a world that's way too peaceful. Pilji keeps a firm grip on the steering wheel, his eyes fixed on the road. The silence in the car is almost as heavy as the rain outside. The luxury sedan glides through the wet streets, its headlights cutting through the gloom. It's a clean ride, but everything else about this situation feels dirty. Hyunsuk leans back, looking entirely too relaxed for someone who's being manipulated by the most powerful people in the city. He's just chilling while they scheme. The rain is coming down harder now, blurring the lights of the city into a hazy mess of neon. The whole world looks like a poorly rendered video game. The car speeds down the highway, leaving the mayor's office far behind. It's a smooth getaway from a very annoying conversation. Pilji glances at the rearview mirror, checking on his passenger. He's being a bit too attentive for just a liaison. What a SUS guy. His eyes are sunken, looking like he hasn't slept in weeks. Or maybe he's just tired of living a lie. The dark circles don't lie though. Outside the window, the rain continues to fall, creating a rhythmic tapping that fills the quiet car. It's actually kind of peaceful if you ignore the political drama. Hyunsuk lets out a small, mocking smirk. He knows exactly what's going on, and it's actually kind of funny to watch them try so hard. Main character energy is through the roof. In his mind, he sees his true self, the grizzled, 20-year veteran of a world that would make this mayor wet his pants. He's literally built different. This Earth stuff is a walk in the park compared to where he came from. Back in the office, the mayor is starting to lose his cool, shouting about his plans as if that would make them any more appealing. He's really out here tweaking. He looks absolutely stressed, his face contorted with the realization that his grand pitch isn't working on this kid. He's panicking like a pro. Park Jian coughs into his hand, trying to regain his composure. It's a classic move when you're losing an argument, and everyone knows it. Embarrassing. He forced a nervous smile, his sweat practically visible as he tries to pivot back to the coffee deal. He's really struggling out here. Just take the L and move on. A drop of sweat rolls down his forehead as he waits for a response. The silence is loud, and he's clearly feeling the pressure. Poor guy. Hyunsuk just looks at him with a cold, piercing gaze. He's about to end this man's whole career with a single sentence. Savage. The mayor continues to babble, his words becoming more and more desperate as he realizes he has zero leverage over this guy. He's just embarrassing himself at this point. He reaches for the coffee box, his hand trembling slightly as he tries to push it toward Hyunsuk. It's actually sad to watch him try to buy a legend with some cheap mix. A close-up of his hand shows just how much he's shaking. He knows he's in over his head. This isn't the easy puppet he was expecting. Oops. Hyunsuk leans forward, his voice low and steady as he drops the truth bomb about the mayor's falling approval ratings. He did his homework, and it shows. Boss move. The mayor's face goes pale, his jaw dropping as he realizes he's been completely read. He thought he was the one playing the game, but he's just the tutorial boss. F in the chat. Hyunsuk doesn't hold back, telling him straight up that he's not cheap and won't be anyone's political tool. He's here for his own share, not some petty crumbs. That's real veteran energy right there. His gaze is terrifying, his eyes glowing with an intensity that makes the whole room feel cold. He's not just a hunter, he's a predator, and the mayor is the prey. Pure intimidation. The mayor is left stuttering, unable to form a coherent thought as Hyunsuk stands up to leave. He's completely broken by the sheer audacity of this kid. R.I.P. his ego. Hyunsuk walks away, leaving the mayor alone with his coffee and his failing political career. He's on to bigger and better things. Mission accomplished. The coffee box sits forgotten on the table, a pathetic reminder of the bribe that failed. It's actually kind of poetic in a very sad way. What a flop. In a rainy underpass, the scene shifts to something much darker. The rain is pouring down, washing away the pretense of civilization. Back to the real world. Lee Pilji is kneeling on the wet pavement, his head bowed in a show of complete submission. So much for the helpful government liaison. He's a whole snake. I knew it. The unknown, hooded man, stands over him, his face hidden in the shadows. He's the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Ultimate villain reveal. 10 out of 10 for the aesthetics though. Pilji apologizes for the failure of the test, confirming that even the monsters were part of their twisted game. These people are actually insane. Imagine playing with lives for fun. Major L. The hooded man watches a video of Hyunsuk's black flames, a chilling smile playing on his lips. He's found a new excellent subject of interest. Our boy is in big trouble now. This is only getting started. The video on the phone screen shows Lee Hyunsuk in midair, spear in hand, as he dominates the battlefield. He really out here doing the most while everyone else is just trying to survive. Total show-off. The unknown, hooded man, watches the playback with a twisted, satisfied smirk. He's found his new obsession, and he's clearly planning something devious. This guy is a literal menace to society. Stalker vibes are off the charts. Everyone's glued to their screens, waiting for the one thing that matters more than anything else: the monthly hunter rankings. In the middle of chores, people are dropping everything just to see which new heavy hitters made the cut. The hype is real, but some of these dudes are acting like they're the ones getting ranked when they can't even clear a basement. Even Kim Min-jae, still recovering in the hospital, can't resist checking the leaderboards to see how much he's fallen behind. Association President Moon Jong-tae sits back in his office, already knowing the storm that's about to hit the public. Ranked number 3, Choi Yeoriam keeps her spear sharp while she checks the competition, looking completely unimpressed. Lee Seun, sitting at number 10, takes a quick break from her training to see who the new mystery top dog is. The September 2025 rankings finally drop, and there's a new name at the peak that nobody saw coming. Out in the field, Lee Seun's team is finishing their setup, but she's way too stunned by the news to focus on the tent. Meanwhile, the high rankers like Yoon Sung-hyun are feeling the heat as a rookie starts climbing over them like it's nothing. Lee Hyun-suk just stands there with zero aura, probably thinking about lunch while the rest of the country loses their minds. The buzz is all about the impossible solo clear of a grade 3 rift, a feat that should have been a death sentence for a rookie. He keeps a straight face, preparing himself for the media circus he's about to walk into. An assistant signals that it's time, looking way more hyped than the guy who actually did the work. The list of new entry hunters is dominated by one name that's suddenly the biggest thing in Korea. There it is in big, bold letters: Yoo Chan-seok, the alias Lee Hyun-suk is using to avoid too much direct heat. He looks like he'd rather be literally anywhere else than at a press conference. Major mid-vibes right now. He stands at the podium, staring out at a sea of reporters ready to tear him apart for answers. Other hunters in the crowd are already mouthing, unable to believe some random kid just gapped them in a single month. The cameras are flashing, but he isn't giving them the inspirational hero look they're all fishing for. He gives them the most blunt response possible, basically telling them to watch his results instead of listening to him talk. Before the reporters can even process his attitude, he's already being whisked away in a high-tech association helicopter. He stares out the window, watching the city shrink beneath him, while Moon Jong-tae starts his sales pitch. The president is all business, trying to lock down his new number 1 before any of the big guilds can swoop in. They fly over a massive, dark void in the earth where a thriving city center used to stand. The helicopter blades cut through the air as they approach one of the most dangerous zones on the planet. Moon Jong-tae points down at the ruins of Gonsol Prison, a grim reminder of why the world needs hunters. It all started without warning, a massive circle of destruction that swallowed everything in its path 13 years ago. People were just going about their day when the ground opened up and unleashed hell on the city center. All that's left now are cracked streets, and a giant crater that serves as a graveyard for thousands. Moon Jong-tae looks out the window, his expression heavy with the burden of keeping the rest of the country from ending up like this. Lee Hyun-suk doesn't look particularly moved, probably because he's seen way worse in the barbaric fantasy world he just left. The president continues his lecture, trying to make the rookie understand the political weight of his new rank. But Lee Hyun-suk is already smelling the BS, knowing that saving the world usually just means protecting the elite. He thinks back to guys like Yoon Sung-hyun, who only care about survival of the fittest and their own ego. To guys like that, power is just a tool to step on everyone else, and the association isn't much better. Lee Hyun-suk is officially over the monologue, and ready to leave this cramped bird. Moon Jong-tae pulls out a file, thinking he's finally giving the kid a mission worthy of the number 1 hunter. Our boy takes one look at the paperwork and realizes it's literally just a delivery job for rich people. Mid-mission alert. The president's eyes are locked on him, waiting for a yes sir that he's definitely not going to get. He hands over the envelope containing the list of necessities, mostly just luxury watches and cars to grease political wheels. As the helicopter hums along, the world's newest number 1 hunter decides he's done playing delivery boy for the government. Lee Hyun-suk looks over the list of essential items he's supposed to protect, and he's clearly not impressed by the luxury catalog. Moon Jong-tae tries to play the 20 years card, probably not realizing his new star hunter has already lived through 2 decades of actual hell. He shuts the folder, having seen enough of this political circus to know exactly where he stands. The world powers are playing games with people's lives like they're just pieces on a board, and he's not interested in being their pawn. With a sharp click, he unbuckles his seatbelt, deciding that a free fall is better than being a high-end delivery boy. He stands up while the helicopter door is still wide open, leaving Moon completely blindsided by his sudden move. He takes a final look at the view from the open door, ready to ditch the VIP treatment for something a lot more grounded. The president looks like he's seeing a ghost, or maybe just his career flashing before his eyes as his asset gets ready to jump. Moon sweating through his suit, realizing his attempt to control the number 1 hunter just backfired spectacularly. He throws the mission documents out into the wind, watching the luxury product list scatter over the ocean like trash. Moon can only watch in horror as his political bridge literally flies out the window and into the sea. Lee Hyun-suk takes the leap, plummeting thousands of feet toward the water with zero hesitation. Peak main character syndrome behavior right there. The president leans out the door, looking down at the empty space where his top hunter used to be sitting. A massive pillar of water erupts from the ocean below as the helicopter continues its flight, leaving the scene behind. Moon is left in total disbelief, unable to process why anyone would choose a freezing ocean over a comfortable job delivery Rolexes. Down at the bustling Incheon port, the sun is starting to set over a massive sea of shipping containers. A port worker takes a quiet coffee break, completely unaware that a national celebrity just belly-flopped into his harbor. A wet hand reaches up from the docks, a clear sign that our boy survived the fall and is ready to get back to work. Lee Hyun-suk surfaces, laughing off the fact that he just pulled the most dramatic exit in history. He's absolutely cooked his reputation in seconds. He drags himself onto the concrete, walking toward the confused worker who's just trying to enjoy his drink in peace. The worker stares at him, probably thinking he's just some poor guy who fell off a boat, and offers him some sympathy. Water pools on the pavement as he stands there, finally free from the association's immediate strings and their diplomacy. He looks out at the orange sky, thinking about his next move now that he's officially gone rogue. He knows guys like Moon and Yoon Sung-hyun are going to be hunting for him, but he's already 3 steps ahead of their games. He pulls out his phone, bypassing the VIP requests to find a mission that's actually worth his time and effort. He settles on a request from the Association of Kidnapping Victims, a mission that actually feels like it matters. A Grade 2 corrosion rift on Tsushima Island. Most high rankers would think this is too mid, but for him, it's perfect. He sits on the edge of the dock, watching the sunset and preparing for the massive grind that's about to start. Soaking wet and essentially starting from scratch, he's ready to build his own power on his own terms. No more hand-holding. In a fight between titans, it's always the little guys that get crushed. Just like a shrimp caught between 2 whales. One wrong move and you're toast. Right now, a group of fishermen are being held hostage by some nasty skeletal pirates, undead erosion entities that snatch them right off their boats. Being weak is a straight-up tragedy. You're left alone in the dark, surrounded by nothing but fear and medicine. The target is Tsushima Island, where the sea meets the abyss. Lee Hyun-suk is just chilling at home, scrolling through his phone like he doesn't have a care in the world. Then he sees it, a private mission to save those fishermen. The reward is 55 million won, but it's a second-class threat level. That's a lot of zeros for a guy who's basically broke. He knows he shouldn't be greedy, but he's really weighing his options here. In his head, he's already smoked the boss and collected the check. Bro is really only thinking about the bag. His eyes sharpen. He's getting serious. A second-class entity is no joke. We're talking about massive monsters that can level entire buildings with a swipe. They say a second-class threat is basically a walking natural disaster. And first class? That's when you call in the entire military and pray it's enough. Hyun-suk sighs. Risking his life for a paycheck is just another Tuesday in this grind set. He starts gearing up, putting on his tactical kit. He looks pretty official now, with a massive spear and some new iron shoulder gear. No more hobo vibes. He stands on the deck, staring into the horizon. Han Sanga joins him. She's got that short silver hair and a look that says she's ready to fight or complain. Probably both. She watches him mess with his phone, wondering what's going on in that head of his. She notices his new shiny shoulder piece and asks where he got it. He just says some scrap dealer gave it to him. Total lie, but he's not about to explain his secrets to a rookie. The boat cuts through the waves, heading deeper into the fog. Hyun-suk shoots her a grin. He's enjoying this way too much. Sanga's eyes are glowing with a mix of fear and determination. She's remembering how it felt to be helpless, sweating and trembling while everyone else was stronger. Back when she was just a target, realizing that the weak don't get a happy ending. It's just one dark scene after another. Hyun-suk wasn't even paying attention to her sob story at first. He was too busy looking at his phone. Her eyes were literally begging for a way out of the bottom tier. She finally asked him straight up. Could she learn from him since he's clearly on another level? She didn't want to be the one getting saved anymore. She was willing to stand in the ruins and swing her sword until her arms gave out. She looked him in the eye and promised to follow him anywhere, even if it meant diving into hell. That scar on her shoulder is all the proof he needed of her drive. She's been through the meat grinder before. He just looked at her with that deadpan expression of his. Fine, let's see if she's actually got what it takes. They've reached the drop-off point. The sea air is thick with the smell of decay. A massive, tattered ghost ship looms out of the mist like a nightmare. This is where the skeletal pirates are hiding. Hyun-suk narrows his eyes. He's in full hunter mode now. He readies his weapon. They need to board that thing without getting spotted. Sanga doesn't hesitate. She grabs him and jumps, her body crackling with lightning as they soar across the water. Hyun-suk is just along for the ride, looking completely bored while she does all the heavy lifting. She's got that wild, excited look in her eyes again. She's actually happy to be heading into a war zone. Hyun-suk isn't impressed yet. The real challenge is just beginning. Sanga is basically acting like a human Uber, jumping across the water while carrying Hyunsuk. He looks so bored, like he's just waiting for his delivery to arrive. Hyunsuk is just chilling, no cap. He looks like he's about to fall asleep while being carried through a war zone. Sanga, on the other hand, is putting in the work. She's locked in, even if her passenger is a total deadbeat right now. They've got their eyes on the prize, 5 massive ghost ships drifting in the fog. It's a full fleet of bad vibes. They finally touch down on the deck of the lead ship. The mist is so thick you can barely see your own hand. Sanga is on high alert. She knows they aren't alone on this floating graveyard. A shadow moves in the fog. Something's creeping. A bony hand grips the railing. Definitely not a friendly welcome committee. Boom! A skeletal pirate jumps out, looking like it hasn't had a meal or a skincare routine in about 100 years. This guy is screaming his head off, literally. It's a straight-up jump scare. Sanga doesn't flinch. She's in a low stance, ready to show this bag of bones why you don't mess with a hunter. Meanwhile, Hyunsuk is just standing there like he's watching a movie. He's got his spear, but he's low-key letting her do all the work. It's not just one pirate though. A whole horde of undead freaks starts crawling out of the shadows. They're totally surrounded. Sanga stomps the deck, and suddenly the air is thick with electricity. She's not playing around anymore. She turns into a human thunderbolt, zipping through the crowd and tearing those skeletons apart. It's some serious main character energy. Hyunsuk is watching her every move, but he's not exactly impressed. He sees every mistake she's making in real time. His eyes are narrowed. He's not just watching a fight, he's grading her, and she's not getting an A+. Sanga keeps the pressure on, lightning blasting anything that moves, but she's already starting to flag. Sweating and panting after just one big move? That's kind of mid, honestly. Hyunsuk finally opens his mouth, but it's not to cheer her on. He's roasting her for wasting way too much mana on trash mobs. Sanga looks like she just got a 1-star review. She's shocked he's critiquing her in the middle of a literal horde. She's frustrated, biting her lip. She's trying her best, but it's never enough for this guy. Fine. If he wants efficiency, she'll give him efficiency. She strikes out again, focusing her power. A single, precise cut. No wasted energy, just a clean kill. Another pirate gets bifurcated. She's starting to get the hang of this. Don't be extra thing. Her eyes are glowing with a new kind of focus. She's not just fighting, she's learning. For a second, she's back in the past. A scared, crying little girl who is too weak to do anything. Never again. A skeletal pirate with its eyes bandaged up charges her, but she doesn't even blink. It thinks it has a chance. Cute. She lets out a massive discharge of lightning, turning the undead creep into a pile of ash instantly. She's exhausted, dripping with sweat, but her eyes are full of fire. She's not that weak little girl anymore. The skeletal pirate lies broken and silent on the deck. Sanga is completely wiped, breathing heavily as her mana settles. A pair of heavy boots steps onto the wooden floor next to her. Hyunsuk gives her a solid thumbs up. He's clearly feeling himself after that victory. But Sanga isn't celebrating. She wipes off her blade between her arm. She admits that because she was always a prodigy. She never actually had a mentor to guide her. Hyunsuk just stares at her, definitely not expecting a deep conversation right now. She tells him that being better than everyone else just meant she had to figure it all out alone. It's clear she's been carrying the weight of that loneliness for a long time. Hyunsuk's face says it all. This is a lot of trauma to dump on him during a mission. He brushes it off and starts moving. They've still got a long way to go. They head back toward the shoreline as the sun starts to set. A couple of officers give them a respectful salute as they pass by. The duo looks back for a second, but there's no time to stop and chat. Hyunsuk tells her they need to stay focused on the actual objective. There are 15 hostages trapped at 2 different shrines on the island. He points out that trying to carry out a rescue mission on foot is a rookie mistake. His eyes are sharp. He's already calculating the fastest way to get in and out. Moving 15 terrified people through monster-infested woods would be a tactical nightmare. He explains that their go light plan won't work once they actually find the survivors. Hyunsuk decides they need a much better way to travel if they want to survive. He spots exactly what they need for the job, a beat-up white van. Hyunsuk lets out a terrified scream as the engine roars to life. Sanga is straight up crashing out behind the wheel, driving like a maniac while he holds on for dear life. He manages to grab onto the roof rack and hauls himself out the window. Now he's the designated turret, perching on the roof while they tear through the forest. A massive horde of skeletons is already gaining on them from the rear. Hyunsuk readies his gear, prepared to clear the path for their getaway. They blast through the group, leaving a trail of dust and bone in their wake. One of the monsters gets its head absolutely deleted. He grips the strap tight, trying not to fly off as the van hits every bump in the road. Between the skeletons and the crazy driving, he's definitely having a rough day at the office. He locks in, focusing on the chaos swarming around them. Skeletons are flying everywhere as the van barrels through the dense trees. Sanga is in the zone, her eyes fixed on the trail ahead. Hyunsuk keeps swinging his spear, making sure nothing hitches a ride. He's sweating bullets, but he isn't letting a single one of those things on board. The van speeds past the pursuit, sending monsters tumbling into the dirt. Sanga's focus is intense. She's built different when she's behind the wheel. He shouts for her to keep the momentum going as they approach the shrine. The stone stairs leading to their destination finally appear through the trees. The van ramps up the stairs while the monsters behind them lose their footing completely. The Gaijin shrine entrance looms ahead, looking more like a tomb than a place of worship. Sanga is still white-knuckling the steering wheel as she prepares for the final stretch. The van doesn't even slow down, gliding up the stone stairs like it's on a racing track. Lee Hyunsuk is doing the most with his paradox flame, using it to literally delete the friction on the stairs. He's straight up turning the entrance into a giant slip and slide to keep the monsters from following. With the way clear, he locks in, ready to face whatever's waiting for them inside. The conceptual fire seals the entrance, leaving the pursuing horde flailing at the bottom. Hyunsuk's golden eyes are cold. He knows the hardest part of the mission starts now. They step into the darkness of the shrine, searching for any signs of the missing people. They finally find the hostages, but the sight is enough to make anyone's stomach turn. One of the men is shaking uncontrollably, his mind clearly pushed past the breaking point. Sanga steps forward to help, but the vibe in the room is making her extremely uneasy. The survivors are incoherent, drooling and trembling in a state of total psychological collapse. Sanga is confused when they don't celebrate her arrival, and instead start panicking even harder. The man is screaming his lungs out, begging her to run for her life while she still can. Sanga's eyes go wide as she realizes they aren't looking at her, they're looking at something behind her. The samurai boss suddenly manifests, a towering warrior in red armor crackling with blue lightning. It swings a blade big enough to cleave a house, but Hyunsuk is already there to catch the strike. He's really out here trying to have a main character moment, while staring down a literal giant samurai. But the story ends here. For if you want Sunraku Manhwa to do more juicy manhwas, like and subscribe. Sunraku out.